So changing the name from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, what does that mean? Well, the truth of the matter, not a whole lot. Now, you see President Trump on January 20th, 2025, at this point in time, is expected to sign an executive order. That's when I'm recording this anyway, is expected to sign an executive order that changes the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Now, the reality of this is very little will happen, okay? Most, if not all, international organizations are still going to recognize this as the Gulf of Mexico, simply because it has been for many, many years. The only way this changes is that on official documentation, and even that is limited at best, it will change to the Gulf of America. Now, as far as maritime stuff, shipping, oil and gas, stuff like that, very little will change, if anything. Most captains, seafarers, stuff like that, will still call this the Gulf of Mexico. They're not going to just all of a sudden say, well, America renamed it to the Gulf of America, that's what it's going to be called. Yeah, no, not going to happen. I did reach out to some experts who are in maritime law, some guys up at Texas A&M University and some other law folks, and they kind of concurred with this opinion using the example that it's kind of like the Sea of Japan. Now, the Sea of Japan, most people around the world know it as the Sea of Japan, but some folks in Korea have an issue with this, in South Korea. They have an issue with this, saying that, oh my gosh, this shows Japanese conquest, it shows Japanese rule, it gives authority to Japan, we don't like it. Well, just because you don't like it, you can throw a proclamation around and say that it's the Sea of Korea. It doesn't change it in the grand scheme of things. So, at the end of the day, it's a very, very, very similar thing. It's kind of a symbolic gesture that is done formally to change the name on a few pieces of paper going forward, and how you make reference to it. I want to be clear, too, that I asked the question, is it a law that you're going to be, canceled or get in trouble if you don't call it the Gulf of America? The answer is no. It's not a law that says if you say the Gulf of Mexico instead of the Gulf of America, you're going to get in trouble. You might get sued if you're in a position of public trust, something like that, because Americans are very litigious people. And there's plenty of lawyers out there that would just love to try this case. But overall, I highly doubt it. Now, I'm no legal expert and don't take that for legal advice, but I highly doubt that I, for one, am not going to just change my life and say, oh, there's an executive order. It is now the Gulf of America. Not even. And probably you aren't either. Most people aren't. When they say they're going to the Gulf of Mexico to go fishing, most people don't even say, I'm going to the Gulf of Mexico. They say they're going to the Gulf, or they say they're going to the coast. Most people don't even care. And that's how I say these things are largely symbolic. So to the average run-of-the-mill American, this means nothing. To seafarers, it means nothing. To business people, it means nothing. To most people, it means absolutely nothing. It's simply a name change going forward on future official U.S. government paperwork. That's it. It's really not that complicated. And by the way, there is no group that officially names and renames these things. The Gulf of Mexico is not owned by any one country, okay? They own some territorial waters, but, think about this. It's not as simple as it seems to just go and do what you want to do on the open seas, because there's territorial waters, there's restrictions. Captain Paul Watson of the Sea Shepherd Society, who coincidentally is a great hero of mine, not because I agree with what he stands for, but I approve of his actions, okay? But regardless, I think that what we're looking at here is These are symbolic gestures. It's a harmless way to prove a point. I'm Matt Pierce.